January 25th, 2011. Thousands of people of all ages and all social classes are gathered at the Tahrir Square and its surrounds, in the heart of Cairo, Egypt's capital. It's the beginning of a revolution that would represent the end of the regime led for decades by the General Hosni Mubarak. The revolution is still ongoing, and the future of Egypt is being written right now. Dalia Ziada, a human rights activist, was there that crucial day and in the following weeks. But she was not only a participant. In fact, she was one of the leaders, one of the persons that helped to shape the Egypt's revolution. I interviewed Dalia Ziada in Nicosia, Cyprus capital, where we both were participating in a residency period of the Fletcher School's Global Master of Arts program. Here is what she has to say.
My name is Dalia Ziada. I am an Egyptian human rights activist. I've been working on women's rights and civil rights for so many years. I'm so proud of the Egyptian revolution and very proud for being part of it. Yes, it was really so rewarding for me as someone who works for civil rights and human rights in Egypt to see that after working for so many years on achieving those values, it's now happening. It's now people are finally aware of it. When you spoke about, we used like in the 1980s and 90s, when you went to people and speak about human rights, they used to look at you suspiciously, you know, like, what are you speaking about? What does human rights mean? Oh, you're coming with a Western value. What? But now, no, people are embracing these values and they are trying to put it and emphasize it in everything in their lives, which is, I think, something really great. Another thing that I've been working on for so long, and I believe, and you know, I'm so proud to say that big newspapers like Washington Post and New York Times credited this for being an inspiration to the revolution, which is trying to educate people about the values of nonviolent action and the strategies. It was so interesting to me in 2006 when I started to learn about this through the story of Martin Luther King and Gandhi in India and Martin Luther King in the US. How those people were able to make great changes in their country by simply being nonviolent, by simply being creative, by using their minds instead of using their muscles. So I thought this is a culture that I needed to transfer into my country, gradually through training workshops that I've been holding through my organization all over the Middle East, not only in Egypt, and through making comic books, through translating the literature of nonviolent strategies. Now people believed in this, and we have seen, for example, in the Egyptian revolution, people were in the street and saying Silmiya, Silmiya, which means non-violent, like emphasizing the word and emphasizing that they are here for a cause, and because they are not planning to use violence at all, and they really believe very much that this strategy of not using violence is the only way for them to win. That a year before, not a year, actually a few months before, in the summer, before January 25th, 2011, a young man from a middle-class family whose age was about 28 years old, and his name is Khalid Saeed, was killed by policemen. He was beaten to death in the streets in front of everyone. So people start to feel really threatened, like he's not a bad guy, he's not a criminal, he's not a street boy, he's not anyone except just a simple human, a simple Egyptian like me, like my brother, like my friend. He's someone I can very much relate to. So young people in Egypt started to feel threatened. Okay, if we didn't stop this now, the next person will be me. So there were this plan that on January 25 we will make, because by the way we chose this day because January 25 is the anniversary of the police. So every year they make celebrations and they give them special payments and they give them vacations. So is that fine? We will not let them have the vacation. We will give them trouble. So we started like mobilizing people for this day very much, and because people were really angry from the police brutality, everyone wanted to come to the square or to come for this protest. And also another good trick that I think worked well is that we communicated the people who exist outside the internet. We did not want to stop to the limit of Facebook or Twitter and such activists, but we went beyond that. And it was really a good trick because I couldn't believe it when I was in the square and I saw people who are older in age, who looks like from poor countries or poor families, but they are participating. This category of people never participated in any protest before. At that moment, I really said, this is actually about something bigger than a mere protest. It's a revolution. And I believe this was because we were very much inspired by the Tunisian revolution also, that, you know, made us in Egypt waiting impatiently for this to happen.
So tell me about a bit about the involvement or the participation of the militaries in the revolution. What is, in your opinion, their role?
That's a very interesting point. How the military got involved into the revolution or has become a part of the revolution, and this is actually a question that I consider is a very difficult one. I was there, I was in the square, and I was there at the moment the military arrived to the streets in Cairo, and I still don't know what exactly happened that made people chant for the military, not against it. I was one of the people who was really scared when I knew that the military is coming to the streets, especially that it was sent by the regime then, after the police failed in suppressing the revolution and the protesters. So the police all of a sudden disappeared from everywhere, all of a sudden, like from prisons, from police stations, from streets, there are no police forces. And in few hours the military started to move to the streets. The first thought that came to my mind, they are coming to finish us. They are coming to make sure that this revolution must end no matter what it takes. But I was really surprised when all of a sudden I found the people around me like chanting military and people are one hand. And they are happy that the military is coming, you know. It was really a very touching moment. Every time I mention it, I feel like it was another momentum. It was as a beautiful moment as the revolution itself. People believed in their military, believed that the military cannot kill them. The military is there to protect them. And it was amazing how the reaction of the military as well was, you know, like to take such a brave decision, to be on the side of the people, not on the side of the regime. It was, in my opinion, it was a very brave step. We have seen, for example, what happened in Syria, what happened in Libya. But, you know, what I'm really concerned with now is the motives behind this from the perspective of the military. What makes them join a non-violent revolution? Is that the people who forced them to do this by being so nice to them? Or is that something that happened from behind the scenes and we don't know about? I think this is what will they show us, you know. Just more research and trying to find out about it will help us.
How is the revolution right now? What's happening in Egypt right now? We are just coming back to your country. What's happening?
Yeah, you know, how is Egypt now? It's a very tough question for me. I am so proud of what we've achieved, definitely. But at the same time, I feel like we are, like everything is retreating. Everything is going back. Evaluating the revolution after 1 year has passed now. What happened? First of all, we had elections, but those elections were not about democracy. Those elections were about voting, or the illusion of democracy. Democracy for me is that liberal democracy that comes with civil rights, that comes with ending of corruption, that comes with institutionalism, that comes with a strong state. So, okay, it was great voting, and I myself was running for parliament and everything. Okay, it's perfect. But at the end of the day, because it was not based on the right ground, or has the good foundations that we needed very much, now what's happening, Islamists are taking over. They are, I think, more according to the initial results, because the final results are not announced yet. About 75% are for Islamists, including Salafis and Muslim Brotherhood. So this is really scary. This is a huge number. And I am sure people, of course, I respect what the people have chosen, but I know very well that people are choosing not because they believe they are good for politics, but because they believe they are good people. And actually, this is not the right way to practice your voting or to exercise voting. The right thing for you as a citizen is that you have to learn first what your rights are, what your civil rights and human rights are, and then search for the person who will make this happen to you. But in Egypt, we skipped this step of training people and educating them about rights and jumped immediately into elections or into voting. I don't even call it elections, into voting. Like giving them this illusion, oh, you're practicing democracy and we are a democratic country and so. On the other hand, the military is still in power. It has been a year now and we still don't have a civilian leader. I don't say the military are bad people, no, they are good people, but at the same time, as someone who believes in democracy, this is not the Egypt I want to see ending up in the hands of the either military or theocrats. No, I want to see a liberal democratic country that believes in that respects the dignity of the Egyptian and helps us to be one of the best countries in the world. This is what I want, and I am sure neither the military nor the Islamists can do this. So we are looking forward to the civilian leader. Of course, this will take time. We know this very well, and people actually are impatient. You know, there is much enthusiasm there. People want to make changes going, and we want the civilian leader as soon as possible. So I hope this happens soon.
Everywhere in the world, when you read news about the Egyptian revolution, all people talk about, the importance of internet, social media tools, etc. Was it that important, or in what extent internet and social media, etc., really helped to put fire in the revolution?
Yes, I was not happy at all with what was written in international media about the role of social media in the revolution. Because they introduced the internet and the people using Facebook as if they are the superheroes of the world who did some kind of a miracle. No, there were long time of preparation for this revolution. It didn't happen all of a sudden like this, but there were organizations working for years to prepare for that special day, for the defining moment, as always I would like to mention it, like defining moment. People were prepared for it. Human rights organizations were working for years for this moment. Bloggers and activists were working for years for this moment. So the only difference actually that the internet and social media played is that it enabled people who were already working on the ground to be networking in a much better way together. Do you know what I mean? Like to find a way, a tool of communication. Yes, this is the right word. It's only a tool of communication that helped people come together. That's it. But if you are not active on the ground, the internet will not make any difference with you. Go on Facebook, keep writing things, the whole day, and it will not make a difference unless you network with the people who share the same interests and you do something on the ground.
Another question is about the involvement of youth, and especially the women. That it's very complicated for the women to have political participation in some Islamic countries. So how you see the participation of the women, especially there was a moment that you were afraid of yourself being a woman and participating in staying in the streets.
Yeah, women's status in Egypt is so shocking to me personally as an Egyptian woman, and it's so disappointing to all those women who participated in the revolution. You know, we were in the square, we were there, we were standing side by side with men, fighting for our freedoms, not only from now, but long time before. And then after the revolution happened, instead of thanking us, or not even thanking us, instead of giving us the space to practice our rights and win our dignity and become like an essential part of this whole movement, we were marginalized in a very severe way. Look now at the government. There are no women there, except just very few women in 2 or 3 positions, and they are, I mean, of course, in the ministerial level or high profile level, only 2 or 3, if I remember well, and they are in minor, playing minor roles. They are not the main players like the men. Look at the parliament or parliamentary elections now. According to the initial statistics, no individual woman has won. You know, all those who were running as individual candidates, none of them has won. Not because they are less qualified or anything, but simply because they are women. See, for example, not long time after the revolution, just 2 months after, women went to the square and to the Cairo streets, and they organized for a one-woman million march on the Women's Day, March 8th. And they wanted just to celebrate and to celebrate the great achievements that Egypt has made by bringing down a dictator, and at the same time calling for their rights, like ending their problems, having them more represented. The most shocking part here is that they were not stopped by the government or something or some other force. They were stopped by the same men who were who were standing side by side with them during the revolution. They were, you know, the men went to them, go back home, it's not your time now, it's we are making democracy, when we finish you can come. So it was like very like black comedy, you know. It's, people are still thinking this way. We have done a revolution, you know, we should have changed it. If women who represent 50% of the population, literally 50% of the population, are not represented, what kind of democracy you expect to have? So I think women now are facing a very big challenge in Egypt, and they should keep fighting. They should stand up for their rights and keep going, keep working, because it's a tougher fight. It's a fight with the mentality, with the mindset, and it will take time.
So you are right now participating in a master program on international relations, but I think you participate of the Global Master of Arts program by the Fletcher School, which is a very known, respected school of international relations. How this contact with other cultures or this master is helping you, is benefiting you?
You know, actually the things I've learned during this year I spent with GMAB, which was which coincided with the year of the revolution, was much bigger than what I can describe in words. This is really an experience. It's not only an educational experience. Of course, the quality of the education you receive, to meet with professors from all over the world who are there to teach you things about international politics, about finance, macroeconomics, international trade, even negotiation skills, and you know, everything, humanitarian aid, transnational social issues like environment. And so, you know, to be able to have all of this knowledge in one program, in 1 year, intensive like this, is something really special. But what's really good about the GMAB program, besides the professors and the curriculum, is also your colleagues. you meet people from all over the world, literally from all over the world. No country is messed, or no region is messed. Like, everyone is around you. You can, for example, people imagine like a group of 30 or 35 people who represent the whole globe are watching the news together. How would it be like? It's a unique experience. A group like this playing football together. It's a really great experience. Every time you meet with them, like on dinner, on daily basis, on even on the discussions, like academic discussions that happens between them during the classes, and so you learn a lot. You learn so much about their countries, because you get the perspective of an insider, not a perspective of some analyst who's just sitting there to put some theories. No, I believe this is the main pillar that makes GMAB, and that makes Fletcher what it is.
How you see the future? I mean, are you pessimist or optimist?
I'm very optimistic about the future of Egypt. I believe very much in the power of the people. Now we have chaos, now we have a lot of question marks in the air going everywhere, around the military, around the Islamists, around the future, around everything, around the women, everything in the country. But I believe that the same great people who were able once to bring down a dictator whom we thought will never be brought down, will also stand up or stand in the face of any person who will try to take away their civil rights and dignity that they have won by making this revolution happen. So I'm optimistic. I'm 100% optimistic despite everything that's going on.
I've read that you are poetry, that you write poems. How's it? I mean, for you? What does mean being able to express your feelings, your knowledge through the poems?
I've been a poet before I become a political activist, and before it becomes my career. So, and the good thing is that politics or human rights and activism did not kill the poet inside me. So in 2010, my first poetry book was published. It was in Arabic, and it was really received well in Egypt, and people liked it very much. But the decision to finally put these things to public, I used to write to myself, but to put it to public was really a tough decision. It's like all of a sudden exposing your inner self to the people. And giving it to them to judge it, like giving the best of you for them to judge and to decide if it is a good thing or not. So it was a good experience on one hand, and at the same time it was like something that made me more confident that no matter what it takes, but try to be honest with the people from really deep inside yourself.